privilege right now to sit on the podcast with a guy that's been at it for a while, none other than Dane Dash. Dane, what's going on?
What's going on, bro? How you?
Man, trying to make this streaming thing happen.
Basically, that's the way of the future and the way of the now.
It's the way of the now, it's the way of the future, and it seems like you are in the now and in the future. You're relaunching not only your Dane Dash Studios, or you have your Dane Dash Studios, but you're also relaunching the app, or you're starting the app. Tell me a little bit about, as much as you want, about Dane Dash Studio, because it's very interesting to me.
Well, that shit playing in the background. But, I launched the app, and the innovation was that it was all programming that was made by me. I didn't outsource it or license. So you had full programming with a point of view made from someone that's like us, and me. And, everybody has an app now. So I was relaunching the app where while you're watching and you're inspired, you can actually buy without disengaging. So, for me, with the pandemic, retail had to exist from in the house. And I think it's interesting, Home Shopping Network, to have that same concept where the clothes are actually in the content and you can buy it while you're watching it. And all the clothes would be made by me or someone that is, have the ability to sell it. So if you're watching me eat and you see the Beyond Meat that I'm eating, pause, then you can buy that. If you see, because I'm diabetic and some of the programming revolves around diabetes, I'm pricking my finger, I'm using one drop, then you can buy that. And then also, the point of view of the app, I've added some more partners. So I have the OSG network, which is 90 principles curated by Dennis McKeezy, and all the content they make as it relates to curriculum and just helping, the children and finding a better way for them to learn, especially in a time like this. Especially at a time like this. And also, the Galaxy Network with Billy Carson. So that's talking about the translation of the Emerald Tablets and where we're really from as far as the spaceships and, we're Anunnakis or come from Anunnakis and blah, 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 and all that.
Right.
And not to say blah, 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 but, so real. And then the Yah Squad, where I think systemic racism comes from is the fact that, from the day we're born, if you're not an intelligent black man, you might think Jesus was the right name for the name or the right interpretation of the name. And also that Jesus or whoever they're interpreting Jesus to be is white. And the name is Joshua. And nothing in the Bible happened in Europe. So why would the interpretation be a European interpretation? Why would the picture of that person be, blue-eyed with blonde hair? And, again, just dealing with the history of scripture is involved in that as well. Then there's the commission, and that's all of us collectively, Senator Andre Carson, Senator Eddie Milton, Congressman Andre Carson, Bishop Purnell, Dr. Chris, therapists like Taj and Melanie, Do It All, OSG, all of that. So there's also consciousness within the and evolution for us within the app as well.
Dang, it's interesting that you bring up blonde hair, blue-eyed Jesus for this reason, and you talk about consciousness. Brooklyn Nets point guard Kyrie Irving tweeted, "Racist Europe and racist America cannot hide from its brutalizing acts, terror, and murder. God judges them now." Then he went on to say in another tweet, "You better stop playing with history. You better stop lying to your people, Europe and America. You better stop feeding BS to the innocent children of God. The original people are returning. And this time, God will intervene in every corner of the earth." When you look at people like Kyrie Irving or basketball players, particularly in the pandemic where a lot of folks have been vocal, how does that make you feel?
I love the fact that we're becoming conscious and unapologetic, not trying to fit in, but just really trying to tell the truth as a culture. And, he's a dude that's dead nice with the pill. Like, he's nice. He's the best at what he does. So, most of the time when someone is smart enough to be really good at something, you know, they're probably smart enough to be good at everything, including history and how they're receiving it. And it's great when someone that has that kind of influence and that kind of basketball swag is saying some really smart shit like that, you know?
Nah, that's real. Tell me something. Is New York a Knicks town or a Nets town now?
I'm in LA, so I don't know. You know,
That's real.
I know I'm sick of losing with the Knicks. You know, I like to win, but right now the superstars are at the Nets. You know,
Sure.
I can't see them losing. It's just too much power. You know, following me with this. It's too much power. But I'm looking forward to the pandemic being over and me coming out there and checking out some games. You know,
that's right. Why is the mantra "Be your boss" so disruptive towards the modern day 9 to 5?
I mean, it just totally contradicts what they're doing. You know, it makes them seem, you know, someone that. And again, I don't have a problem with people that have a job. You got to survive. But while you're surviving, you got to do some of your time and invest it in, you know, your dreams. So, you know, I don't really know life without being a boss. I just think it's scary to people that are used to having things done or being used to having people give them things, or, you know, used to asking questions instead of having to answer. It's just the narrative of your life, you know, and what you want to be. Like, who doesn't want to be a boss? You know what I mean?
That's real. That's real. What part of Dame Dash's journey before starting Rockefeller is unknown to the public?
I mean, I've done a lot of interviews, so I think the fact that I went to boarding school, you know, that I put myself through boarding school when I was 16, the fact that I raised my son Boogie as a single father, you know, while I was actually running all the things I was running in Rockefeller, you know, those are the things that meant the most, you know.
I feel like when you talked about going to boarding school, I remember watching backstage and some other interviews where you talked about, you know, going to boarding school. I feel like guys that were from the inner city did not freely talk about going to prep school, boarding school, like a lot of these guys do now. Did you feel like, why didn't you talk about it? Did you think it wasn't cool back then to talk about as much as you talk about it? Like, cause
I always talked about it. Backstage was 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's true. But
the question is, were people listening, you know? I never felt the way it was a stack. Nobody paid for me to go to boarding school. You know, I went myself. I put myself in boarding school. So that was always gangster to me. A guy like me doesn't usually do something like that, you know?
What did you learn in boarding school?
That they're not better than me. That's what I learned.
That's real. I feel like,
and also when I was in boarding school, I stood my ground. So let's say there's me and 1,000 white kids. One kid said the wrong thing. I was setting it on everybody. Who did it? That was on their side. Usually everybody was on my side, so I didn't even feel it. I was scared to be racist around me, you know?
No, that's real.
And that's how my family's always been. It ain't just me. I've been talking to my family lately, and it was like, we never took that from them. That's just a family thing. We always knew that nobody was better than us.
Everybody isn't from Harlem. So other than the instincts and lessons you learned growing up, hard work being one of them, what is it about you that allows you to continually be a success?
No fear. I'm not scared. You know, I'm continually looking to conquer. I'm a conqueror in my spirit and my soul and my heart. You know, when I see something's wrong, or if I see an industry that doesn't behoove me or my culture, I come in there and make sure it does. And I shake it up, which I've done. You know, I'm not like trying to survive. You know, I'm surviving very well. I'm actually trying to make it better for others that aren't surviving. But I'm a beast. I'm going to eat no matter what.
For someone starting a business from scratch, where would you tell them to start?
Start with something you love. Don't just do it for money. Find a passion and do it so good. You know, you got to find your dream and you do it so much that it becomes your job. And, you know, I've been saying it never feels like work. So I don't ever feel like I'm working.
Well,
Like right now, I don't have to be working, but I have literally a staff of people working on my dreams all day long, at least 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. But it goes way beyond that.
Being a boss, I feel like everybody wants to be a boss, and I feel like you were ahead of the curve talking about that. Of course, Rick Ross came out with the song "I'm a Boss," but everybody says that they're a boss, and you specifically said you're not a boss if you don't spend your own. Boss and being an owner.
That's the boss, the owner.
What you said?
The boss is the owner.
I agree. For you, why don't you sit on money? Why do you keep making more money?
I don't really even believe in looking at money. You know, I believe in living, and I have a lot of dreams. So I just believe if I sit and look at it, all I'm going to do is pay taxes on it. I prefer to put that into something that's going to help my children and fulfill my dreams. And the thing is, I keep dreaming. I'm addicted to dreaming. That's all I do is dream, you know? And then when I wake up or when I come out of that daydream, I make it happen. I want the dream to be a reality, and I want it to happen. I want to choose the quickest path to get there. But I also want to choose the path that's good for me, not that's going to take any of my soul and my integrity. I got to choose the right path, which means taking different paths. So I might go one path, doesn't work. So then I got to try another path. That might not work. Then I got to try another path. And usually the first path doesn't work. It usually takes me to find a bunch of different paths to get to the goal. But it's always about finding that path. So until you find that path, you always have something to do.
That's real. I remember watching a bunch of your directed and produced movies while I was in college. And I would kind of tell people or paint I feel like your movie, watching American Gangster, showed the world what Harlem looked like. I guess my first question is, how much of a pride did you take in introducing Harlem to the world?
I mean, it's not describable. It's unarticulatable to be the person that was able to introduce the Harlem culture in its essence in that way and tell a story like that, or at least an adaptation of the story, one that still carries on 10, 20 years later. So, yeah, I'm always, like, if I had only done that, I could just walk around and wear that as a chip on my shoulder or a feather in my cap and be Mr. Paid in Full for the rest of my existence. That's how dope and how real that movie is for people. And I see how it's affected culture to this day. But, you know, I expected it to do that. I'm just proud to see something, have a dream, and complete it, and be able to live to enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? To the extent that I have more dreams.
No, that's real. And I think what you did is significant, particularly because when I watched the transition from Paid in Full, State Property 2, to even taking the trip further down I-95, I went to undergraduate school in Pennsylvania, and I saw how much, when I was in college, that's when all of the Philadelphia mixing with New York and Northern New Jersey kind of blended at that time when it was hot. I guess my question is...
Let me ask you this. Did you see Honor Up?
No.
Do me a favor. Subscribe to Dame Dash Studios and watch Honor Up.
I will.
That's the last movie I really directed that I put out. And that's about, you know, things that happen that are very close and personal to me.
That's real. When you look at films specifically, I mean, people look at gangster movies, they look at all the things you've done, but I feel like you discovered Kevin Hart. And that was actually what I was going to kind of segue to, because I feel like a lot of people weren't checking for Kevin Hart. Like I realized that he went from being in your film to then being in a Lean Back video. Then he blew up.
Yeah, I think I was a good stepping stone. I was the first stepping stone for Kevin. You know, I've given a lot of people the same opportunities I gave Kevin. Kevin was just one of the rare ones that took the opportunity and ran with it. So, you know, I can't be mad at him for that. And, you know, only thing I could say is like, yo, just, you know, pass the alley-oop every now and again, just because of that. But, you know, he's a very hard worker. You know what I mean? Now, sometimes we may not have the same principles and morals about what we do, but he's still successful at what he loves doing. And me being a part of that, you know, I've been a part of that for a lot of people. So it's just, you know, it's like one of those things.
Dang, what happened to the Rockbox MP3 player?
I couldn't keep up with the development. So like, you know, when I'm the only person that sees a dream and I'm the only person fighting for it, and the people I'm competing with are making $1 billion and spending, $1 billion a month in development. I just couldn't keep up with the technology, but the idea was there. Now, had somebody saw it, somebody understood it, other than myself, then I probably could have took it to other levels. But a lot of the things I was doing at Rockefeller were my individual dreams, supported by nobody at Rockefeller but me. You understand what I'm saying?
I do see what you're saying. And I watched the Last Dance documentary back in April. I'm sure you saw it as well. The Michael Jordan led Bulls documentary.
Yeah.
When I watched that documentary, and I've always said it, there's the baby. Congratulations on your new child, by the way.
Thank you.
To you and Raquel. So when I watched the Last Dance documentary, the Bulls, their plot in that last season reminded me so much of Rockefeller. Back then, did you see a comparison? And do you see the comparison even more since seeing that documentary?
Yeah, I mean, relatively speaking, I could see, it's crazy to be winning and people still knocking you. You know what I'm saying? And, still fighting even when you have proof of concept. And then, you understand that when you deal with a team, each and every member of that team individually has their own issues and problems, their own life. So, it's more than just one person. You know what I mean? But yeah, I could see that. We definitely took the chip a lot.
Yeah, you did. You definitely did. Tell me something. How would Rockefeller stand if you guys would have started today?
Today, like me being 50?
No. Meaning you guys start your prime now in the age you were when y'all were at your peak.
I mean, there's different resources that are available now that I would have the option to exploit. So back then there was no social media, there was no internet, there was no YouTube, there were none of those things. So I don't know. It'd be interesting. You know what I mean? But I just think that where we are today, I'm at the forefront of a lot of those things. So like, let's say I had not been around, a lot of things wouldn't be the way they are now. You know what I mean?
That's real. We talked about Last Dance. I got to ask this question. LeBron or Michael?
Say that again?
We talked about the Last Dance in the Chicago Bulls. If you were to start a team today, would you pick LeBron or Michael?
Michael, because I like the sneakers better.
That's a fair assessment. But as far as style of play, would you pick Michael or LeBron?
I mean, I'm from the age of Michael. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't mad at LeBron at all. I mean, he's the man. He keeps winning rings. He does his thing. And I also particularly like the way, he is with his kids. So, I love that. But just, it was Michael Jordan. I'm sure LeBron would pick Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Jordan. You know what I mean? And he's not the person I like the most as a person. You know what I'm saying? But it's still the essence of who he was and what he meant as a child to me. And again, what supersedes all of that is the rings. You know what I mean?
$500 million in contract dollars or 7 championships.
Say that again?
You choose $500 million in contract dollars or 7 championships.
7 championships. I'm gonna make $500 million per championship.
That's real.
And ancillary things. I'm gonna make way more. I make $1 billion every time.
Chopped cheese or Philly cheesesteak?
I'm vegan.
I like that answer. Growing up in Harlem, hearing all the stories that you heard, we talked about Paid in Full, but I'm curious to know, because you are so big on brands and you're so big on your style, what was the first time that you encountered a mom pop store in Harlem that you remembered and you fell in love with that experience?
I mean, we used to like going to 125 a lot when that was open. So, I mean, it was like in Harlem we were stunting. So whatever, it was all mom and pop. So going to Willie Burgers was going to a mom and pop. And being, I made a movie about that whole scene. That was a big thing in my life. Going to Willie Burger after the rooftop or after the rink, and just seeing all those cars and watching Boosie, Kid Capri selling tapes on the corner. Like I saw all that, like week after week for like a year or 2, 3, whatever the run was.
You have been on shows like Family Therapy with Dr. Jen. How would you introduce a guy from Harlem growing up the way that you did to therapy?
The way I'm introducing it on my network, and again, you got to order it so how revolutionary this is. but I have healing as gangster. So, we basically do public therapy. And, even when we lost a baby a year ago at 7 months, that week we did therapy so people could learn from us healing and understand that, it happens to everybody, but you got to deal with it and how to deal with it in real time. So the thing about therapy is that, thank you. Just going to do a Spanish lesson. The thing about therapy is the study of therapy comes from people, and Black people don't go to therapy. So that means it's the study of other culture. So when a Black person finally does go to get therapy, they're not getting the right therapy because it's not from the study of Black people. So that's what needs to change as it relates to therapy and how to approach it.
I like that. And I feel like a lot of people of color are kind of scared to go to therapy because they don't trust, and they don't just want to let out their feelings to people because they're so guarded. And I feel like in hip hop, because we own the message, we have to do a better job of getting that message out. And it seems that you're doing that with what you just said.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing unrecognized trauma.
Yeah.
Of what we have to do to survive. It's our normal, but it's really traumatizing, and it affects the trajectory of our life when we're adults. So it's about recognizing the things that f with you young and how they f with you now, and dealing with that, confronting it sometimes, even if it means going a little dark. But sometimes you have to go to the dark to get to the light.
You used to listen to hip hop music today.
Yeah.
The new artists.
Yeah, some of them. Like if something catches my, it's usually like the people around me what they're listening to. So I'll catch something that I like. I don't really be looking for it per se, but hip hop is about the experiences that are happening in the generation. That's like 4 years prior to mine, or 3. So it's kind of hard to judge or even understand what's going on in the concrete. I've been removed from it for the last 25 years. Compassion for it, yeah, but I don't know how these kids are surviving right now. It's a lot tougher because, when I was coming up, rappers weren't also having bodies and shit like that. Like a beef record wasn't after like someone got killed. You know what I mean? Like if death happened, it would be peace for a couple of years. It's like normal now. Seeing an artist go to jail is like part of the game because the artists now are so real. They're really in it, and it's sad to see how tough these kids have to be right now to survive. What they have to consider cool, to protect themselves.
Yeah, because I feel like Tekashi 6ix9ine is the antithesis of what your era was. Do you think, not to hem you up, but I'm curious to know, like, how would someone like him fit in your era?
Next question.
That's real. Your top MCs of all time.
I like Rakim. I like Nas. I like OC. I like Busta Rhymes. There are people that are skillful, but it doesn't necessarily mean I listen to them all day. So, like, I know Eminem is dead nice, but he's not on my butters, on any of my playlists. There's not like one record that I desire or need. But lyrically, I know he's dead nice. You know what I'm saying? So, it's like my thing is what I like to listen to the most. And, records. It's Biggie Smalls, of course. I still listen to all of that. But I like artists like Chubb Rock, you know what I mean? Like, and that's just because of how old I am. You know what I mean?
Joe Budden was a brief Rockefeller signing.
Mm-hmm.
What did you see in him even back then?
He had needed help. They weren't treating him fairly. And I had liked the fact back then that he was never scared to battle anybody. And he could rap, So they weren't treating him by the Def Jam. He could rap. Seemed like a good guy. He didn't show any fear in his lyrics, so I tried to help him out.
That's real.
Like he was at Def Jam. So like what would happen is if I like somebody at Def Jam and because usually people would complain like, oh, they're doing this, that, and the third. I'd be like, just come with us. So that's what I did.
When I look at him, so for example, you look at Elliot Wilson, he's a journalist that went into the digital space. Comparatively, when you look at Joe Budden, he's the artist that went into the digital space has the podcast, all the intellectual property. It kind of reminds me of watching Shaq, Ernie, Kenny on Thursdays on TNT because he has the war stories as the artist that now transition into that media space or that color commentator space. From the digital space, do you think that what do you think of is how he's been able to capitalize off of his brand and his intellectual property?
I'm not really thinking about him at all. But I can just tell you that, whoever's doing what they need to do as far as owning their stuff, like people, I've been doing this. I was doing the interviews with Kenyatta about 6 years ago. It's about if you're a celebrity, people are going to listen to what you have to say. So a celebrity having a normal conversation with another celebrity is easy money. It's easy to do. So, I've always led by example by doing that. So I'm glad people are doing it. But I honestly, I'm not the kind of guy that just looks at another dude all day and be wondering what he's doing. I'm just happy that they're doing well. If they're not breaking bread with me, it's hard for me to look at their business model or anything. You know what I mean? Just be happy they're doing well.
No, that's real. Tell me something. The financials of hip hop. When I look at hip hop, I feel like it seems to me it's less money than it was when you guys were in it.
No, that's not true. There's more money. There's more ways to make money now.
Okay.
So, if you're still stuck on the old way of doing things, it's 2021. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be the same way it was in 1990. So if you're stuck in the 1990 way, yeah, you're going to be. But I was talking to Rockefeller the other day, and he was pulling my coat. There's so many things I didn't know about how to make money off of the internet. You know what I'm saying? And it was I'm not from that generation, so I'm listening. So I just think if you are tapped in and you know exactly how, either way, it's fucked up right now, all music, because of the pandemic. You can't perform. But at the end of the day, if you could fill up the garden and you could sell merch, you're going to make a hell of a lot of money no matter what. And that's all that counts, is understanding the business model.
Then the thing that I thought was cool when you got the deal with Procats, and I feel like
I didn't get the deal. I gave them a deal.
So let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
Your partnership, is that a fair assessment? Your partnership with Procats?
It wasn't even a partnership. I licensed I was trying to buy them. So They weren't doing well. And think about this. They're people that have factories and all that to make sneakers. They licensed it to me. You understand what I'm saying? So I was paying them a royalty. And what was supposed to happen was, at the time, the brand was doing $8 million a year. So I'm if the brand's doing $8 million a year, cool. But if it gets with me, anything over $8 million, we got to bust that down.
Right.
As far as the worth. And it didn't roll out that way. They were trying to make me, it wasn't a good deal. But it was me being excited about having access to my own sneaker brand.
What advice could you give Master P and Baron Davis on what they're doing or trying to do with Reebok?
I don't know what they're doing.
You're trying to buy Reebok.
Again, I don't know what that entails. So, there's so many ways to get to something. I don't know what path they're taking. I don't know how real that is. As far as because Adidas is, I don't really get into people's business like that. So if they can make that happen, I'd be really happy to see it.
Your business in the past, you've had art galleries, the Video Machine Creative Control and Streaming Service with Damon Dash Studios. Curveball question. You're always preaching direct to consumer. What would a sports guy like me be able to gain from using your business model?
Say it again. What would a guy like you do what?
Sports guy like me, journalist, what would a sports guy like me gain from using your business model of direct to consumer?
It's the same thing. If you're a brand and you have ancillary things, you have to sell it to them. So if you know your consumer, you sell it to them direct. So you have to have your octopus, what your brand means and the ancillary things that stem off of it. And, those things are available to be sold direct to consumer. So if you did a sports doc, or if you, made turtlenecks or glasses or whatever it is that you're known for, or, those type of things, it should always be about having at least 8 streams or streams of money per brand. You know what I mean? So you're not dependent on just one. So if you're just depending on podcasts or you're just depending on one stream, if that gets fucked up, you need to have the other 5 to at least be able to be, compensating for that. Because things don't always go right 100% of the time. It doesn't happen.
That's real. Last question. I talked to Mark Cuban recently, and we talked about the what's next. I value you a lot because of your insight. Respectfully, I value him for his insight, particularly on you guys being able to capitalize or to know what the next is. What is the next in digital?
What I'm doing. Being able to consume and buy things while you're being entertained. You know? That's what it is.
It's real. Brother, thank you so much for
But I'm actually about to do the terrestrial television networks as well. I was going to launch it this week, but I wasn't ready. But I'm launching in New York. Well, actually, LA, Atlanta, Charleston, and then New York. If I can get a spot, another ads, you know. I got to put an ad team together right now. That's the real big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sir, thank you for your time.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right. And when it's going to play?
If you want another amazing video with the one and only Dame Dash, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.